Just a short cab ride away from the passenger terminal in Atlanta is the Delta Flight Museum on the north side of the airport. The museum is on the campus of Delta's Atlanta headquarters and open to the public. Here's a beautiful DC-3 on exhibit, along with a few smaller airplanes and some other items from those times. If you think the avionics in your aircraft is dated, well, it's all relative. A tunnel leads to the jet exhibits, and in the very center is a famous Boeing 767. Here I'm in the retired 767 called the Spirit of Delta. Quite a unique story where Delta employees gifted the airline this 767. There's also the fuselage of a Lockheed L-1011, which serves as a conference room, and the cockpit of a Convair. There are lots and lots of pictures, showing how far things have come along in just a few decades. There's also the Delta Chairman's Club, a yearly award for some Delta employees, and the computer in the museum even allowed me to find a few award recipients I know through my work. And then here, behind the 767 wing, is what will be the absolute highlight of my visit today. So here behind me is the Boeing 737-200 simulator. It's a full flight level D simulator, full motion, outside visuals. When Delta retired this aircraft from their fleet, they moved the sim from the training center over to the museum. And it's available to the public. It's not cheap, it's a few $100 for an hour-long session. Let's find out how much fun it can be. I had made a reservation online for a sim session. Mike is my instructor. He goes over some of the basics before we fly.
To flare it, what I've been telling people lately is you can go like this, and like that, and then just hold it about like this. So you give it a couple of quick pumps, and then hold it. Let me go ahead and try that.
Oh, not just one motion, but a couple of times.
Well, they used to do it just, I say, when you 50, 40, 30, you flare like that. The thing is, if you don't time that just right, you'll either go long. Most people tend to overflare. You tend to pull it too far. We got long runways. Or if you're slow, or if you're coming down a little too fast, you're just going to hit hard. But if you do this, that kind of just arrests your rate of descent, and then you pull it back down. Just that little bit.
The instrument panel of this aircraft is ancient, which makes it familiar to me because the main instruments are quite similar to what I have in my Bonanza.
So, any questions? I've got switches up here. It's called, when I push the attendant call and the ground call at the same time, it turns on and off flight freeze. So if I turn that on now, the simulator's alive. I forget if I put the motion on. Okay, so we're going to take off over here. The city's there. I've never done this before, okay, just so you know. We're going to fly straight out, and we're going to go out a couple miles. We'll make a right turn, fly over that way, and then we'll find the Hudson River, and we'll follow the Hudson River back a ways, and then we'll come back and land here. Okay?
So in LaGuardia?
It's LaGuardia, yep. All right, so for power, we push the throttles about halfway.
You can see how the whole simulator tilts back on takeoff, pushing my back into the seat back, which feels like acceleration. It's amazing how convincing the motion system is in combination with the 180 degrees outside visuals.
80 knots, 100 knots, 110, 120, V1, rotate. Okay, you got a positive rate, you're up. Like that. Just fly the runway down. Flaps up.
These so-called level D simulators are so close to the real airplane that the very first flight a pilot makes on the actual aircraft after training in the sim will be a revenue flight with paying passengers on board.
Climb to about 3,000 feet. So as we go through 2,000, we'll start just pull your throttles back a little bit, and we'll try and get them back to our cruise power as we come up to 3,000. Here a chime that says we go through 2,000. Yeah, just start easing the throttles back. And you look at your vertical speed indicator. That's the Verrazano Bridge. We take off the other way, we'll fly past Liberty and go under that bridge. On the glide slope, a little bit to the left of the low glider, runway is in sight. We'll bring the gear down. Tops to 5. So we'll start descending, and you have to use a little bit more trim to keep it where you want it.
The control forces are lighter than I had imagined for such a large jet.
Gear down, 3 green, auto brakes medium. So we talked about the flare, right? Couple of pumps and then just hold it. You got it. You got it. Okay, flaps coming to 30. Perfect. Does the column feel pretty neutral to you?
Yeah.
If it wants to come down a little bit fast, you might put a little bit more nose up trim. Quite a lot that you put in there. But,
yeah, I'm going by my stall.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It looks good.
Is there any wind or
No.
wind calm? Thank you.
No wind, no turbulence. If you want, we can work up to that.
So the 500 flare, the couple of pulls at 50 feet or
30 feet.
30 feet.
30 feet flare.
And then also the throttles back.
Just bring them back, and I can do that, or you can do that.
Why don't you do that on this?
Okay.
This one.
Okay, a little fast here.
Minimums.
Held a little bit too much. Now pull it back again.
10.
Once the wheels touch down, let the column go forward. You can't get reversers till the nose gear comes down. Okay, auto brakes are off, so you have to use manual brakes. Not bad.
Right, so I pulled way too much.
Yeah. The pump you did just right. Then you only want that little bit. Just. I'll put you 3 miles out. We'll just do the touchdown part.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Right.
I had used too much elevator in the flare, so I climbed back up only to return to the runway for a very firm landing. But it's a sim, so at the push of a button I can try it again.
There, 50, 40, 30, flare. Okay, oh, there's a hole in this runway. I didn't realize that. That was the first touchdown was perfect. You almost had it.
Except we went out on the ground.
I'm getting a little better, but there's still room for improvement.
Okay, that's pretty good. We weren't getting altitude call-outs.
Right.
I don't know why. Oh, perfect, right on the line. Okay, you want to try something a little different?
Yeah.
We do this approach in one of those new ones with the Google Earth terrain. I didn't realize you can almost look at people's living rooms as you're on this approach here. 5.2, 5.1, 5 miles, 4.9, make a turn to 085. See the expressway there?
Yes.
So you're gonna, once you get to your heading, you just kind of follow that heading. You can see the tennis center and then the city field just to the left of it. You can start our descent up with the gear down. And start coming down. 15. that time, you see where the road now peels off to the right?
Yes.
About that's where you peel off to the left.
Okay.
Bring flaps to 30. Just going to wrap right around the ballpark there. A little bit to the right of here, where you want it to be. Okay, go ahead and turn. Clear to land. Pretty good Bossie lights here.
Minimums. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Got it.
Wow.
That's that hole. That was a good job. Once you touch the brakes, the auto brakes disconnect, and you gotta stop it.
Oh, okay.
Then we move to Washington,
All right.
D.C.
What about the auto brakes?
So what I like to do is you can fly pretty well. So we'll do my modified river approach in DC.
Okay.
In the river approach, you would be, are you familiar with that at all?
I've not flown it, obviously, but I've seen the chart. Yes.
Oh yeah, you're following the Potomac River, right? The thing is that as you're following the river, you're going to cross a series of bridges in Florida, but your chart will tell you step down to this altitude to this bridge, this altitude to the next one.
Okay.
Well, I can't read that chart and fly at the same time. So I was in here with a guy one day, that's all he wanted to do. We did that about 10 times. But I noticed if we tuned the ILS for one of those two runways there, the glide slope would give us good readings. It would be on the correct altitudes.
Okay.
So I just do that.
You can follow the river and the glide slope.
River and just ignore the localizer. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. And you're gonna cross the first bridge, and there's Roosevelt Island's right there. As soon as you cross that bridge, you'll make a right turn, fly right over the center of the island. There's another bridge on the other side. The bridges have a white light right in the center, and you want to fly over the light. That's your goal anyway. Right? And then there's two more bridges, and then you'll make a right turn to land. It's all visual.
Sounds like fun.
It is fun. And as soon as you cross that river, you see the bridge. You see that's Roosevelt Island there. You can fly right over the center of it. Here, a little bit. You're about a knot high.
Fast here.
Yeah, way fast. The flaps a little fast. Oh, the gear down. Sorry. First officer's asleep here.
See the light in the center of the bridge?
Yeah. Right over the island. Bring your flaps to 15. Still pretty fast. As soon as you get by the time you hit that light, you're going to make a right turn and land. Flaps coming to 30.
Oh, that's a nice view.
particularly long runway.
Still very fast. 500.
Flaps 40. Flaps 40.
Minimums.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate.
20.
Sink rate.
Come on now.
10.
It doesn't want to come down at this speed. Normally we'd go around from here.
Yeah.
I was much too fast on this approach and ended up in the river. The violent movement of the simulator left no doubt that I had failed this test. But it's the sim, so we'll do it again.
If I can.
That was different.
Yeah. We didn't get your speed down.
Yeah.
We let the gear should have come down before we got to
1,000.
Okay, you're on course, about half dot low, right on the speed. All brakes, medium.
500.
Arm to speed brake will deploy as soon as we touch down.
Minimums.
That looks perfect.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
A lot better.
This one will not be in the river.
That was much better. We have time for one more quick flight, and this one is from and to San Francisco. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge here. For this one, Mike is adding some low clouds for an instrument approach to runway 19 left, coming in over the bay.
Light slopes coming into.
Flaps to 15. It's always a good feeling when you break out of this. It's there in front of you.
Yeah. How low do you set it?
You got your about 500 feet.
Oh, okay.
You'll have time to correct. A little scudding on the bottom though, so you'll be in and out of it. You need more trim this way. Faster.
500. Minimums.
I could have spent much more time here without getting bored, but my session in the sim is up. I conclude my visit of the museum outside in the Boeing 747 exhibit. You can walk around this giant airplane, see many details which are usually hidden on the inside, walk out on the wing, and of course see the cockpit. That's it for today. Thanks for coming along. If you have a long layover in Atlanta someday, come check out this museum. Whether you fly the sim or not, it's definitely worth the visit. See you next time. Bye-bye.